You know how every year we rack our brains trying to find the perfect gift for everyone on our list? Well, I've got a solution that's gonna make you the talk of the town, or at least the favorite gift giver at your holiday party. We're talking houseplants, people. I have curated a list of plants that'll suit every personality in your life. Got a friend who can't keep a cactus alive? I've got you covered. Know someone who's turning their cubicle into a jungle? There's a plant for that too. Whether you're shopping for a total newbie or a seasoned plant parent, I've got options that'll make you look like a botanical gift genius. So grab your Amex, get cozy, and let's dive into the wonderful world of holiday houseplants. For those who don't know me, hi, I'm Megan, and plants are my nerdy passion. When I'm not writing about the latest gardening and houseplant trends for House Digest, I'm probably elbow deep in potting soil or obsessively overmothering my latest plant cutting. Yeah, I am that plant person, and I am not ashamed. Today, we're going to be exploring 8 amazing plants that'll make perfect gifts for this holiday season. I had originally thought about doing this video as a two-parter, half terrestrial and half aquatic, but based on what I've seen from you guys, I think it's probably best to keep them separate. So aquarium friends, expect a new video for you shortly. For this set of holiday plant picks, I'll give you the lowdown on each plant's origins, care requirements, and even throw in a fun fact or two, because let's face it, plant trivia is the best kind of trivia. And as always, I will link to my sources below so that you can double check my facts, because we all learn together. But before we dive in, let's talk about why plants make such awesome gifts. First off, they're the gift that keeps on giving. Unlike that fruitcake that gets regifted every year, do people actually do that? Plants grow and change, bringing joy for years to come. Plus, they're natural air purifiers, mood boosters, and let's be honest, they make any space look instantly cool. Your opinion may vary on that. So really, you're not just giving a plant, you're giving better air quality, improved mental health, and some serious style points. You're welcome. So I was gonna recommend a snake plant here, but decided against it for one simple reason. It doesn't need a lot of water. But let me explain that. Yes, snake plants are very hardy and good for beginners, but they do well with neglectful plant parents because they store water in their root bulb and will more than happily tolerate missing a few waterings. However, my experience, new plant parents who really want to give it a go will often find out that their enthusiasm for caring for the snake plant results in overwatering it, creating mushy leaves and a soon-to-be dead plant all too quickly. The cast iron plant, on the other hand, has taken neglect and helicopter parenting with the same meh-ness across the board. Named for its ability to be a tough mamma jamma, the cast iron plant will take even the newest of new plant parents under or over enthusiasm with grace. This bad boy is native to Japan and Taiwan. In the wild, these plants can live for decades and grow up to 2 feet tall. But as a houseplant, they're a little more modest, usually topping out about 1 to 2 feet after a few years. Now let's talk about the care breakdown. The cast iron plant is incredibly easygoing, making it perfect for any setting. Whether in low light or bright light, this plant thrives without fuss. It comfortably adapts to a humidity range of about 40 to 60% and can handle most temperatures as long as it stays above freezing and below 85 degrees Fahrenheit. This plant prefers to dry out completely between waterings, truly thriving on neglect. And when it comes to fertilizing, a monthly feed during the growing season is recommended, but even if you skip this step, this plant will do just fine. And fun fact, the cast iron plant got its name because it is nearly indestructible, like cast iron. You could probably use it as a cast iron skillet and it would still bounce back, but please don't do that. Please don't say Megan told me to set this thing on my stove. Next. Next up, we've got the perfect desk buddy, Peperomia obtusifolia, also known as the baby rubber plant and the radiator plant. This is actually usually up here, so it is meant to climb, but you can keep yours bushy by just keeping it chopped. Do not let the baby on the baby rubber plant fool you, because this guy isn't related to rubber plants or radiators. It's actually native to Florida and parts of Central and South America. In its natural habitat, Peperomia can live for 5 to 10 years, but as a houseplant, it's usually a little more compact, both in max height and age. It'll usually last for about maybe 5 or 6 years, making it a perfect pick for someone who works at an office, but isn't really that hardcore about like heirloom plants. So let's break down the care for it. Optimal care of peperomia: ensure they receive bright, indirect light, although they can adapt to lower light conditions. Maintain humidity levels about 40 to 50%, ensuring it's comfortable but not too demanding. The ideal temperature range is between about 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. When it comes to watering, allow the top inch of soil to dry before watering again, and use a balanced fertilizer every other month during the growing season to keep your plants healthy and thriving. Fun fact about this guy: Peperomia obtusifolia is often called a succulent-like plant. Why? You've ever noticed these leaves get a little bit thick, a little bit leathery almost, and it has very thick, chunky stems, if you can see. In my opinion, they're pretty robust, and that's because it stores water in the leaves, in the stems, and roots, just like true succulents do. So if you love the idea of a low-maintenance plant that doesn't need constant watering, this might be your new best friend. For all you jet setters out there, meet your new best friend, the Janet Craig dragon plant. This tropical beauty hails from Africa and can live for decades in the wild, growing up to 15 feet tall. As a houseplant, clearly it's a bit more manageable, usually reaching about 6 to 10 feet over several years. But don't worry, it is a slow growing plant, so it won't overgrow your apartment in between your trips. Here's the lowdown on care. Dragon plants thrive best in bright, indirect light, although they can tolerate low light conditions. An ideal humidity is around 40 to 50%, but these plants are, honestly, they're really not fussy. The perfect temperature range is between 60 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It is really important, though, to allow the top inch of soil to dry out between waterings to maintain its healthy growth. The houseplant version of the Janet Craig dragon plant, as you can see, is pretty compact. It's actually compacta is part of its scientific name. Getting this soil too moist for too long can result in having lower, let me see if I have it on my other one. Yeah, here it is. Can result in leaves getting hit with water too much and turning brown and dying off. So that's why keeping the soil dry is pretty important. During the growing season, which is usually spring, summer, fertilize it once a month with a balanced fertilizer for optimal result. And fun fact, Dracaena plants were once believed to contain dragon's blood in ancient times due to their red sap. So if your plant sitter texts you in a panic about your plant bleeding, don't worry, it's not possessed, just misunderstood. So for this one, it's a bit of a challenge because rare plants go in and out of their rarity pretty much monthly thanks to tissue culture and cloning. So selecting something for this category is a bit of a moving target. However, I chose the Spiritus Sancti Philodendron for a particular reason, and that is our impact on its ecosystem. I'm also going to tell you right now I have a really difficult time pronouncing this, so bear with me. Spiritus Sancti Philodendrons are found in the wild in parts of Espírito Santo, Brazil, and some areas of Ecuador and Peru. Unfortunately, due to deforestation and poaching for the houseplant market, that has made it extremely rare in its natural habitat, to the point that it is considered endangered. In fact, I have a source that said they believe only maybe 6 still occur in a natural habitat, and that is on a private farm in Brazil. So if your giftee is a rare houseplant buff, they have undoubtedly heard about this plant, which can often go for up to $500 if it's mature. Tissue cultures, though, are like an advanced level in the houseplant game because they require precise care in order to thrive, but aren't so difficult that someone with inattentive ADHD can't make it work. I have had about an 80% success rate growing plants from tissue cultures, Monstera aurea being the one that seems to just evade me completely. And I can say it looks daunting, but it is easier than you think. And I have a video about acclimating plants that you can check out here that will tell you how to successfully acclimate a tissue culture. Tissue cultures are also derived from a mother plant, so that reduces the potential for poaching, leaving the wild versions alone so they can hopefully bring back their numbers. In its natural habitat, it can grow up to 3 feet tall and live for many years thanks to its epiphytic nature, which just means it grows on trees or other things instead of dirt. As a houseplant, well, let's just say if you have one, you're probably already a plant expert, and no this part. Care requirements, if you're lucky enough to get one. Maintaining bright indirect light is ideal. Ensure humidity levels are high, between 70 to 80%, and keep the temperature steady, about 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It is important to keep the soil consistently moist without becoming waterlogged, and remember to fertilize monthly during the growing season with a balanced fertilizer. I don't have one, obviously, or I would be showing it off right now, for no particular reason other than just haven't gotten around to it. But I can say that the place that I usually get my tissue cultures from, Teeny Plant TC, who thankfully let me use their images for this section. My tissue cultures that I've gotten from them have done really well. I have only had one failure, and that was due to my negligence, not to its. So I cannot recommend them enough. Fun fact, the name Spiritus Sancti means Holy Spirit in Latin. So if you gift this to someone, you're basically giving them a religious experience. No pressure or anything. For your friend who wears black in the summer and considers The Nightmare Before Christmas a year-round movie, we've got the Llano Cardi Road Syngonium, also a climber if you can't tell. This moody beauty comes from Panama and is named after the road where it was first discovered. In the wild, Syngoniums, not just the Llano Cardi Road, can climb trees and grow quite large, but as a houseplant, they usually maintain a more manageable appearance, going about 1 to 2 feet tall, unless you can let it climb. My Llano Cardi Road came as a last-minute buy when I was on a hunt for black goth plants, and I am so glad to have found it. Llano Cardi Roads will start off with dark green leaves, but once they're happy, they'll start sending out stems to look for places to grab onto and unfurl black leaves with very cool dark mauve, if you can see, backs to them. My Llano Cardi Road has been a really tolerant houseplant, honestly, and is happiest when it's living in my plant cabinet, collecting humidity and slowly making its way up around the shelves. Here's how to keep this gothic beauty happy. They require bright, indirect light, as excessive direct sun can cause their beautiful dark leaves to fade. Maintaining a humidity level of 60 to 70% is pretty ideal, and regular misting could help the foliage flourish, but I prefer to just group them together with other humidity-loving houseplants to raise the collective humidity level. The optimal temperature range for these plants is between 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and when it comes to watering, ensure the soil remains consistently moist, but avoid it becoming waterlogged. During the growing season, monthly fertilizer with a balanced fertilizer, that's key, will support healthy growth. And fun fact about Syngoniums, they're also called arrowhead plants, and their leaves will change shape over time. They'll start as more heart-shaped and slowly grow into more elongated arrowheads, hence the name. Now, for your friend who thinks life is better in pink, we've got the neon pink Robusta Syngonium, and mine is probably not as neon robusta as you would hope, but that's actually my fault. To be honest, this was neck and neck with another plant, the tricolor Stramanthe, which has these great, fantastic hot pink stems and undersides to its leaves, while the front of the leaves are usually some sort of white or pale pink and green stripe. By the way, my Stramanthe's name is Petunia. Why? I don't know, it felt right at the time. Now, I picked the neon pink Robusta Syngonium because of its typically uniform blush pink leaves, and in my experience, its tolerance for neglect. There are pinker Syngoniums like the Pink Perfection, but honestly, I only have experience with a neon pink, and I can vouch for its easygoing nature. This vibrant center is a cultivar of the Syngonium podophyllum, native to Central and South America. Like its darker cousin, the Llano Cardi Road, it can grow quite large in the wild, but as a houseplant, it will stay manageable, about 1 to 2 feet tall. Here's how to keep this pink baby happy. They thrive in bright, indirect light, with the intensity of light influencing the vibrancy of the pink hues. Can you guess where I went wrong? Maintaining a humidity level of 60 to 70% is ideal, as these plants prefer a moist environment. That's why I love using these self-watering planters on Syngoniums. The perfect temperature range is between about 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and consistent moisture is required, so it's important to keep the soil moist but not waterlogged. During the growing season, fertilizing monthly with a balanced fertilizer will help support its healthy growth. And fun fact about this, the pink color is actually a genetic mutation, so basically this plant is a fabulous X-Man of the plant world. let's talk about one of my most favorite sets, a 10-pack of plants for fairy terrariums. This is one of my first buys when I was getting into houseplants, and I am so glad I did. It's got a collection of fairly hardy plants that can handle a newbie's learning curve and gives enough variety that it'll kickstart their love of houseplants pretty easily. My first time purchasing this was back in 2018, with the last time being in 2022, and here are the plants that are still alive from these buys. Just showing how hardy some of these guys can get, even when you're a newbie plant parent. One downside I should mention though is that the plants don't come with labels, so it might be hard to figure out which is which. I've bought this set a few times, and here are a few that seem to be regular staples. This thing is just gonna overtake the whole video frame, and that's just how we're gonna do it. Ugh. Last, but definitely not least, oof, give you the glamour shot. For your friend who is dipping their toes into the plant world, we've got the Thai constellation Monstera. As you see, this is mine. I don't even remember which leaf was first. I think it's this one. It's in an unboxing video somewhere. You could probably find it. This stunner is a cultivar of the famous Monstera deliciosa, but with a twist. It's splashed with creamy variegation that looks like a starry night sky. The Thai constellation Monstera started out in the plant world with a bang. If you were around during the pandemic lockdowns, then you probably remember it was seriously sought after. I'm not sure if it was the first commercially available variegated plant, but it sure felt like it. Prices were absurd, reaching nearly into the thousands of dollars. It might have even been four figures, like at least $1,000 at one point, but I can't find that in the Internet Archive, so I think it just is only found in my memory. So I can't vouch for it, but I kind of remember it was. Now it has become much more widely available and consequently cheaper, but it still has this air of like, whoa, that's cool to it. I think this is an excellent plant for someone who's probably got a few plants in their home but hasn't dipped their toes into the exotic realm just yet. It's fancy enough to be interesting, but not so rare that it can't fit your holiday gift budget of $20 a person. In the wild, Monsteras can grow massive, climbing up trees in the rainforests of southern Mexico and Panama. As a houseplant, it'll be a bit more manageable, but still impressive, potentially reaching over 8 feet tall in several years. Mine maybe started out this big, and as you can see, it is probably, I would say, 3 feet-ish maybe by now. I'll go with that. To care for a Thai constellation Monstera, ensure it receives bright but indirect light, as too much light can scorch its lovely leaves, especially if they have more variegation known as like a half moon pattern or bigger white splotches. The ideal humidity level for these is between 60 to 80%, basically keeping this tropical plant happy in a steamy environment. Think about it's from rainforests, right? So it needs that kind of thick humidity and dappled light where it's not too direct on it. It's kind of coming through the canopy. If you can mimic that, you're gonna make this plant super happy. Maintain temperatures between 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And when it comes to watering, I usually like to allow the top 2 to 3 inches of soil to dry out before giving it a drink, but also self-watering pots. I can't, can you see? There it is. Are always welcomed with this guy. Additionally, fertilize it monthly during the growing season with a balanced fertilizer to keep it thriving. And fun fact for you, unlike other variegated plants like Monstera albos or things like that, the Thai constellation's variegation is stable due to tissue culture propagation. So you don't have to worry about it reverting back to green. It is a star that keeps on shining. And there you have it, folks. What I love most about these plants is that they bring a piece of wild into our homes. Each one has adapted from its native habitat to thrive in our indoor spaces, reminding us of nature's incredible resilience. You know, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. That little plant sitting on your windowsill might be descended from a massive jungle climber or a tropical forest floor dweller. But now I want to hear from you. Have you ever gifted a plant for the holidays? How did it go? Did your friend become a plant parent extraordinaire, or did they call you in a panic when the first leaf turned yellow? Share your stories in the comments below. I would love a good plant tale. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and want more plant content, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because I've got plenty more green goodness coming your way, from care tips to plant hauls and everything in between. Remember, every plant parent started somewhere, and there's no better time to start than the holidays. So go forth, spread some green cheer, and who knows, you might just inspire the next great plant enthusiast. Until next time, keep those leaves green and your spirits high. Happy planting and happy holidays.